That's not marketing. That's admin with graphics. As a founder, that you're going to have to study. You're not building a marketing team. You're running like a digital sweatshop, you know?
This is not just another podcast. This is your backstage pass to founder level insight. Each episode is a masterclass. It's raw, it's real, and it's ready to level up your mission.
Marketing isn't one thing. Marketing is everything.
Let's dive in with Reggie, and he's going to talk to us about what most founders get wrong and how you can get it right. This is presented by Warrior Rising, the #1 nonprofit dedicated to veteran entrepreneurs, and this is Office Hours.
Here we are, changing the scenery a little bit because it is way too nice to be out, not be outside. You know what I mean? So I got my coffee, if you know what I mean. I'm hanging out. We're just gonna live our best lives together. So this is another edition of Office Hours. It's me, Reggie Ordonez. We're about to have some fun. As you know, this quarter is all about marketing. And here we are again talking about, you guessed it, marketing, because I could spend so much time talking about this. And whenever I actually say that, it's not just because I enjoy it, but there is so much to cover. So much to cover that doesn't always, well, I guess the best way to say it is most people don't understand how much there really is to this topic, right? So I think that it's important to really explain that marketing isn't one thing. Marketing is everything, right? And we're going to dive into some of the most misunderstood, most misused, most underutilized drivers that are known as different marketing segments. I think a better way to say it is professions, right? Different skills, all under the umbrella of marketing. So people throw around the word marketing like it is like the catch-all solution, you know, but the truth is marketing isn't really just about one thing. It's the sum of many parts. And if you don't understand those parts, you're never going to build anything that really works whenever it comes to this, right? So I've worked with founders, nonprofits, scrappy teams, and very specifically in marketing, right? And usually they're wearing 6 hats, trying to keep things moving. And all I ever hear from the head shed is like, we need more marketing. We need more marketing. But whenever I ask, like, well, what kind of marketing? What exactly for? What outcome are you chasing? That's when things sometimes tend to get a little bit quiet, you know? And if you're a founder or if you're part of a small team, you've got to figure out what works for you. You got to understand that you're not going to be able to use every single one of these tools at once, that it's different skill sets that you're going to need. And it's a big deal. And you need to know which tools to use and when. And whenever I say tools, I want you to think of every specific marketing tactic that I'm going to talk about today as tools, right? And that means that as a founder, that you're going to have to study. You're going to have to learn what these things mean. You're going to have to learn the basics of SEO, direct response. You're going to have to learn about brand messaging. You're going to have to learn about the craft known as marketing. And if you're not willing to understand that, you're always going to feel like you're throwing money into the wind because it's just not going to work for you. So, marketing sometimes gets treated like a big blanket. And if y'all hear people in the background, hey, it's cool, right? Everyone's enjoying the day. I'm right off of a trail, you know? But marketing gets treated like this big blanket. It's like, just go do more marketing, when really it's a toolkit, like I said, and each thing has a specific job. So what works for an e-commerce business doesn't necessarily work for a B2B firm. What works in paid ads might not necessarily work in email. And here's the kicker. Oftentimes CEOs and founders, they're the first ones to cut marketing when things get tight. And that's kind of like, hey, why, right? And that's the big question, why? And you see that I got notes today because this is an important topic to me. And I wanted to make sure that we stayed on track. They say because marketing's not working. And more often than not, it's not that marketing doesn't work. It's that you didn't understand it in the first place. You didn't use the tools right, or you didn't give it the right timeline, or worse, you hired like a really smart marketer and then you buried him under some PowerPoint decks and spell check requests. Like, this is a true story, y'all. And some of my friends are going to listen to this and they're going to know what I'm talking about. And that's wrong, because that's not marketing. That's admin with graphics. You know what I'm saying? So let's define the actual types of marketing and what they do and why each one requires its own kind of expertise, right? So there's levels to this, and we're going to talk about those. So a good marketer might know a few of these lanes well, right? But I don't think anyone is world class in all of them, right? But a good marketing leader will understand how to use them. So that's what you need to be. As a founder, you need to understand how to use them. And that's what's important. So if you're expecting your marketing person, I just want to say this, if you're expecting your marketing person to be a designer, a strategist, an email copywriter, a media buyer, an SEO analyst, a brand storyteller all in one, like, man, come on. You're not building a marketing team. You're running like a digital sweatshop, So you need to chill. All right. So let's talk about brand marketing. That's first. Brand marketing is going to shape trust. It's going to build that trust. It's going to shape perception. And I think a good example of someone that does this well is Patagonia, right? Like, I'm outside. Obviously, we need to talk about Patagonia. They're all about environmental activism. Their stories baked into every tag, every photo, every post, right? It's who they are. And it's not just about making things look nice. It's about consistency. It's about emotional connection. It's about long-term trust. And yes, it takes some strategy, right? It's not just a Canva subscription. You know what I'm saying? So this is actually what I do in my company that I run, is I focus on brand strategy. And it's super critical because everything's going to flow from that first, right? That's why I talked about it first. So let's talk a little bit about direct response marketing. So this is what gets action now. This is your landing page and the copy on it that says, get the guide, no credit card required, clear call to action, low friction, right? That's direct response. I'm invoking someone to make a move, to click, to buy, to purchase. And this is where psychology meets performance. This is the copywriting. This is the design. This is the offer positioning. This is all of this stuff. It's chess, and it's all psychological. Every single thing that you read, you better believe they got your number and they're working. They're working it. Let's talk a little bit about content marketing. So, content marketing educates, it entertains, it builds trust and inspires. And I think a really good example of content marketing is HubSpot. I love HubSpot. Their blog turns free advice that is super valuable, extremely valuable, and turns it into a top of funnel machine. It's like that reciprocity of like giving value away for free in hopes and returns that they know that customer is going to come back. And they do a really good job of that. This takes time, though. It takes planning, it takes thought leadership, and that doesn't come from copying what everybody else is doing all the time, you know? Okay, one of my favorites, email marketing. So, email marketing builds long term relationships, y'all. This is when a founder sends a weekly newsletter full of insights and behind the scenes stories. Open rates go up, referrals go up. And this isn't email blast. This isn't like MailChimp blast. This is segmentation. This is nurturing. This is storytelling. It's knowing what to say and when to say it, And that's not just going to come from, you're just going to blast these emails, because then you're going to get ignored. So it takes someone that really knows what they're doing, knows how to segment lists, can look at behavior, what people are clicking on, what people are opening, what people are reading, and then like driving that. And that's actually one of my favorite forms of marketing is email. Okay, let's talk about social media marketing. So social media is going to keep you top of mind. I think a good example of this is Duolingo. If y'all aren't familiar with Duolingo, go check them out. Everybody learns languages on Duolingo, but they have some chaotic and hilarious TikToks that keep people engaged even when they're not using the app. Good social is a craft. Bad social, it's just a graveyard of Canva quotes with no context, just hoping to be seen and getting some vanity metrics with some likes and clicks. That ain't gonna work if you ain't got a strategy behind it. Know what you're doing with it. Let's talk about some affiliate marketing, some influencer marketing, right? So this is good for brands that don't quite have that trust yet and they need to borrow the trust from somebody else. So like you see this a lot, like an example, a wellness brand partners with a micro influencer and they demo their product for some time, talk about how great it is. And this person's like utilizing their reputation in their audience to come to bat for you, and they'll walk through their results in real time. And this isn't about follower count. It's about alignment. It's about the audience. It's about tracking those conversions to see if it's working. Like my good friend G. Dub Bush said, President George W. Bush, he said, what doesn't get measured doesn't get done, and that's real. Let's talk about product marketing. Y'all are like, we're on 7. We got a lot more to go. But product marketing is going to connect products and features to customer desires. So what exactly does that mean, right? Product features to customer desires. So like here's an example. So Slack. Everybody's familiar with Slack, hopefully. They went from the chat app to making work less work. Like, let's make work less work. And it was like, hey, that's one headline that reframed the entire product because it wasn't just a chat app, it was about efficiency, like one tool to rule them all, collaboration, communication. And this is where deep work, research, messaging, positioning all comes into play, right? Because without this, your features are going to get ignored. Nobody cares about features. Everybody cares about benefits. Features are not as good to talk about as benefits are, right? Comes with 4 AA batteries. Nobody cares. Ready to play with right outside the box. It's like, oh, hey, I don't got to buy batteries. That saves me one less thing to do. I don't even know if I have batteries at the house. It already comes with them. Big deal. All right. There's some experience marketing, you know, and there's not many that I can think of except for Red Bull when it comes to this. They have this event called Flug Tag. It's like super wild, super ridiculous, and it's all about energy drinks somehow. They pull it off because their brand is on point when it talks about people doing epic things and they're drinking a Red Bull. So they have these events that work. Um, and the moments stick. You know what I mean? It's not just about these stunts, it's about being strategic with knowing the audience and the intentionality in the event, which I think is great. Let's talk about SEO, search engine optimization, y'all. So here's an example, a local roofing company. Yeah, a roofing company, right? They write a blog that says 5 signs your roof is falling or 5 signs your roof is failing. That was probably a better way to say that. And it starts to rank because people are like, oh, whoa, I want to know if my roof needs replaced. And here's a blog from the experts that's going to tell me what to look for. And I don't want my roof to get ruined. Like let me think about that. So all of a sudden calls are tripling in a year because they're working on that, and that's kind of cool. SEO is kind of a grind. Content comes into play. So your content marketing comes into play. And there's all these terms that you got to know, right? Like backlinks and metadata and site speed. And you got to get familiar what those things are if you're going to play that game. At least good enough to know that someone's not filling you full of junk, you know? Then you got performance marketing, also known as growth marketing. And this is what it looks like whenever you're scaling with what works for you, you know? So an example of this is an e-commerce brand tests 3 ads, you know? One of the ads explodes. They scale it 10x, they get a big ROI, you know? And this is a lab. You don't guess, you test, you know? But if your product and brand and message aren't dialed in, it's not going to matter. So, true talk there. So, this is great, but we have all this stuff we're talking about. We have all these different tactics that I've exposed you to. And what does that actually mean for you? You know, as a founder running a small team, or maybe you're doing this on your own. Um, I get it. Like you're doing 1,000 things. Trust me, I get it. I was working on something for Warrior Rising this morning. I'm here right now. I was sending invoices this morning to people that haven't paid me yet, that are past due. You know, um, I'm looking at a new email software for my own company. Like, there's all these things that happen. I don't just get to focus on marketing. I have 1,000 things that I'm doing. And to encourage you, you don't need to master every single type of marketing, you know? But you need to understand which ones matter to you right now and how you activate those with intention, you know, with intention. You have to start small, but you have to be super strategic. And launching something new requires direct response. It's going to require some product marketing. If you need to build trust, like your content can do that for you. Your brand should be doing that for you, you know? Trying to grow your traffic to your website, SEO, social media. But don't assign your marketing lead to spell check board presentations and call that like a job well done. You know what I mean? Like, you need to ask yourself, what result am I trying to get? What tools can get me there based on where I am today? And do you understand how those pieces all connect with one another? Um, are you really asking one person to do like 15 different jobs that require completely different areas of expertise, but yet you're trying to lump it all into one person doing marketing, quote unquote? So that's kind of where I'm at, you know. Um, Listen, if you're serious about growth, you can't treat marketing like a side project. It has to be embedded in your strategy, your team, and your culture. And the reality is that your brand drives everything. So you got to start with a brand strategy. I'm not just like sitting here trying to plug myself, but you have to start with a brand strategy, because once you create that culture that's centered around brand, that becomes how you hire, that becomes how you fire, that becomes mission, vision, values, that becomes the promise to your customers. That's everything, you know? And you've got to study even just enough to not get played by somebody else, you know, because there's a lot of people out there that have more expertise than you do on something, and they'll fill you full of junk. I see it all the time, and I hate that. It's not a magic pill, and it's not a mystery, but marketing is a craft, and it requires skill, it requires intention, and it's a connection between the moving parts, you know? And when you treat it like an afterthought, you're not just leaving money on the table, but you're losing money. You're losing out. So listen, y'all, thanks for hanging with me today. I hope more than anything that this episode gave you some clarity. And do me a favor. Share it with a founder who's stuck. Share it with a marketer that might get a giggle because they're doing 20 things, you know? And if you're ever ready to get intentional about your own marketing, you need to spend time studying. You need to spend time ensuring that you know enough to be dangerous so you don't get played. Until next time, keep building, keep your marketing out of the PowerPoint graveyard, and let me know. What are your questions? What are your thoughts? What are your comments? Drop them in the chat in YouTube, or just, hey, check us out on Spotify, Apple. That's where this will all be. So y'all, it's been real. It's been fun, but it ain't been real fun. So go enjoy your day, seize it, own it, and go make it happen. See y'all.